Most people run from their pain. Some try to numb it. Others try to bury it beneath success, smiles, and silence. But a rare few absorb it. They take the betrayal, the loss, the abandonment, and they transform. Not by accident, by alchemy. Because pain is a furnace. And if you know how to work with it, this is not a motivational video. This is a transmission, a survival map for those of you who are carrying more weight than anyone sees, for the ones who've lost parts of themselves in relationships, in trauma, in silence, and still walked forward. But walking forward isn't enough anymore, is it? You want something deeper. You want to reclaim what broke you, not just so you can feel whole again, but so you can become more than you ever were before. That's spiritual alchemy. And I'm going to show you how it works. The ancient alchemists weren't obsessed with riches. They were obsessed with transcendence. They were mystics disguised as scientists. To them, every element, lead, silver, mercury, reflected something in the human condition. Lead wasn't just a metal, it was pain. It was heaviness. It was the part of you stuck in fear, shame, regret. Gold? That was divinity, the higher self, the soul purified. And so the lab became a mirror. They weren't just melting metals, they were melting egos, burning illusions, distilling wisdom from wounds. Spiritual alchemy is the inner process of transformation. It says, yes, life broke me, but I used every shattered piece to rebuild a stronger self. The beginning of all transformation, and it begins in destruction. Your plans collapse, your relationships fracture, your identity, whatever you thought you were, crumbles under the weight of life's truth. It feels like everything is dying. But it's not you that's dying. It's the version of you that could no longer hold your truth. This is the phase where you wake up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, asking questions that shake your soul. Why did they leave? Why did this happen to me? Was any of it ever real? You feel lost, but what's really happening is that you're being emptied of illusions, of comfort, of false identity. Most people panic here. They numb, distract, escape. But alchemists sit in the ashes. They know that clarity doesn't come from avoiding the dark. It comes from being consumed by it and surviving. This is your ego's funeral and your soul's initiation. The smoke begins to clear. Not all at once, not gently, but just enough to see that the pain wasn't random. It was a teacher. This is the moment you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what was I meant to see through this? You start recognizing patterns, how you chased people who reminded you of your wounds, how you dimmed yourself to be accepted, how you turned your rage inward and called it guilt. This is the uncomfortable truth. You helped build the prison you now want to escape. But don't shame yourself. This is the moment of power. Because once you take responsibility for your pain, you take authority over it. The whitening is purification, not through perfection, but through honesty. You don't try to go back to who you were. You realize that person had to die, so you could start telling the truth. You aren't healed yet, but you've begun the process of becoming real. Where there was chaos, now there's coherence. You begin to see your experiences not as broken fragments, but as interconnected lessons.
You understand why you went through what you did. You understand who it made you. There's no more chasing closure from people who never gave you clarity. No more asking for love from people who only knew how to take. You rise above the old story, not because you've forgotten it, but because you've rewritten it. You stop bleeding for the past and start building from it. This is not healing as in getting better. This is integration, where your trauma becomes your teacher, where your past becomes your platform. You walk differently. You speak with more precision. You no longer apologize for your sensitivity. You wield it like a sword.
The union of shadow and soul. It is not lightness, it's density. You've died. You've wept. You've witnessed yourself naked, raw, afraid. And yet here you stand, not undone, but reborn. This stage isn't loud. You don't need to prove anything. The proof is in your presence. You protect your peace without flinching. You walk away from disrespect without closure. You love without attachment, and you leave without resentment. People feel your transformation in the silence between your words. They sense it in your stillness, in your standards, in the way you no longer beg for anything you were born to command. This is gold. Not the gold of the world, but the gold of a spirit refined by fire. You are no longer broken. You are reassembled, intentionally.
So now the question isn't,
Why did that happen to me? The real question is, what will I make of it? Will you keep carrying the weight of your wounds like a burden? Or will you forge them into weapons of wisdom? Pain is inevitable, but transformation is a choice. And alchemy is the sacred art of choosing to rise. If this hit you deep, if you felt something awaken, something stir, don't leave without anchoring that shift. Like this video to mark the moment, because something in you changed. Subscribe to Dark Honey, because this is where we don't escape the dark. We enter it to evolve. And drop a comment below. Which stage are you in? Nigredo, Albedo, Citrinitas, or Rubedo? In the description, you'll find our curated list of books and resources, real tools for real transformation, for when you're ready to go deeper than words, where pain becomes power and shadows become gold.